The Lies About Tithing, Part 1. Many institutional church leaders frequently cite Malachi chapter 3 verse 8 to verse 12 to persuade members to give the 10% of their monthly income as a tithe. They often emphasize the warning that Israel was cursed for withholding tithes, while highlighting God's promises to open the windows of heaven and pour out blessings too abundant to contain for those who tithe. However, these leaders often neglect to teach how Israel was actually instructed to tithe. When God first gave instructions about tithing in Deuteronomy chapter 14, we see a very different picture. In verse 22 to verse 23, God commands Israel to bring their tithes, comprising of agricultural produce, to the place He chose to put His name. There they were to eat and feast before the Lord with these tithings annually. In verse 24 to verse 26, God provides further instructions. If a farmer lived too far from the designated place, they were to sell their produce, take the money, and travel to the appointed location. Upon arrival, they were to use the money to purchase whatever food and drink their heart desire and feast before the Lord along with their household. You may now wonder, what is the purpose of storing food in the house of God? The answer lies in Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 27 to verse 29, which explains that only in the third year were the tithes set aside for specific purposes. During that year, the tithes were given to support strangers, orphans, widows, and Levites, since the Levites did not own land to farm on. This was reiterated in Deuteronomy chapter 26 verse 12 to verse 13. Furthermore, in Numbers chapter 18, verse 25 to verse 28, details that it was the Levites, not the general population, who were required to give a tenth of the tithes they received to the priests. Similarly, in Nehemiah chapter 10, verse 36 to verse 38, the first fruits were to be brought to the house of God by the Israelites, but it was the Levites' responsibility to bring a tenth of the tithes to the storehouse. From this context, it becomes evident that the modern practice of tithing in churches does not align with biblical teaching. Like and subscribe for more 2-minute biblical rebuttals.